Hello, I'm Susan Woods, and welcome to the How to File IRS Form 990 Annual Information Returns online class. I'm so glad that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to learn about this very important process. Before we get started though into the I would like to share a little bit more information about me. Again, my name is Susan Woods, and I am celebrating 11 years of sharing information regarding the nonprofit sector. Specifically, I started a nonprofit organization called Comprehensive Community Based Solutions in 2003. Initially, I started it as a nonprofit without the official 501c3 status, and I'll tell you more about that later. Underneath that nonprofit organizational structure, I offered two programs. The first program was called Panorama Computer Learning, which was a program that allowed me the opportunity to teach people who had been displaced from the manufacturing industry and they were middle aged and in a dilemma in that they had to learn computer skills in order to qualify for new job opportunities. So through Panorama Computer Learning, I traveled around to different churches, libraries, conference centers, wherever I needed to go, bringing along with me laptop computers in which I set up and I actually taught hands-on Microsoft Office classes such as Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint to help them gain the skills they needed to pursue other career opportunities. The second program offered under Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions was the Emerging Leaders Mentorship Program for Black male youth. That program was offered to provide guidance to black male youth between the ages of 10 and 18 years old. And we provided speakers, we provided field trips, we provided curriculum that was specifically designed to meet that target group. We had teachers. It was an excellent program that we operated for 5 years. I have the honor of providing nonprofit consulting services. I complete the 501c3 application packet for private clients, which means people who want to start a 501c3 and may not understand how to complete the application packet or may not want to complete the application packet. They hire me to complete the packets for them. I also facilitate a broad range of classes for nonprofit leaders. For example, the classes that I'm facilitating now is an example of a class that I facilitate for my online services. I have a whole long list of classes that I provide online. And I also facilitate free classes on the third Saturday of each month, free in-person classes for people who are interested in learning more about the nonprofit sector. I teach the how to start a 501c3 nonprofit, how to fund, how to manage, and how to sustain 501c3 nonprofit organizations during during those classes that I teach on the third Saturday of each month, except for November and December. I have earned three nonprofit management certifications or certificates. I earned one from Duke University in 2017, Winthrop University in 2016, and Wake Forest University in 2015. I plan to pursue one in 2018, but that didn't happen. So I have three nonprofit management certifications or certificates, and I do that. I believe in lifelong learning. And when you are a nonprofit consultant, you have to remain current in your knowledge so that you can share accurate information. So not only do I attend classes and earn certifications, I also constantly study the IRS.gov website, information on the IRS.gov website, because that is the place you want to go to stay abreast of changes and updates in the nonprofit environment. I am also a three-time graduate of Winthrop University, which is located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I earned a bachelor's degree in business administration, a master of arts degree in business education, and a Master of Business Administration degree. So clearly, I love learning. I love teaching. I love sharing information. That is definitely my life's calling. And to make it even better, I enjoy teaching and learning about the nonprofit sector because it gives back to the community. It's community based. It's always helping people in some way. So my job now is to help people help other people through their nonprofit services. So that's just some information about me, to give you an idea of what qualifies me or what are my qualifications to share information with you about the nonprofit sector. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to download and view this online class. So let's get down to business. What is the Form 990 information return? So let's learn more about this type of return. First of all, a tax-exempt organization must file an annual information return or notice with the IRS unless an exception applies. So that means that if you are a tax-exempt organization, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, you must file an annual information return or a notice with the IRS annually every year unless an exception applies. And that exception is something that you will have to determine whether you qualify for. So just to be on the safe side, unless you're told otherwise by a credible nonprofit lawyer or an IRS exemption specialist, just assume and prepare you that just assume that you have to submit an annual information return and do so. Next, an annual information returns include the Form 990, the Form 990EZ, the Form 990N, which is also called e-postcard, and the Form 990PF, which is for private foundations. The Form 990 is the IRS's primary tool for gathering information about tax-exempt organizations, educating organizations about tax law requirements, and promoting compliance. So the Form 990, whether it be the Form 990, the Form 990EZ, the Form 990N, which is called an e-postcard, or the Form 990PF, Private Foundation Form 990, is the primary tool that the IRS uses to what? Gather information about your tax-exempt organization. It's the primary tool to educating organizations about tax law requirements. And it's the primary tool the IRS uses to promote compliance. So I hope that you are seeing the importance of this information return. Organizations also use the Form 990 to share information with the public about their programs. This form or this information return is a perfect tool for you to use to share information about your organization with the public. That's a fantastic tool to use. It promotes transparency and accountability to the public about what you're doing. So most people upload their Form 990 information returns on their websites so that people can have easy access to read the information. And again, that promotes transparency. Most states use the Form 990 to perform charitable regulatory oversight and to satisfy state income tax filing requirements for organizations claiming exemptions from state income tax. So this is another benefit or use for the Form 990 information return. Is also used on the state level by most states. So again, what is the Form 990 information return? Please be sure that you understand all of the bulleted definitions or bulleted items on this page because it's important, very important, and you're going to learn more about the importance as we proceed through this class. IRS Form 90 Annual Information Returns. We're going to dig a little deeper. The Form 990 types. Once again, there are types of Form 990s. We're going to learn more about those. The Form 990, the Form 990EZ, the Form 990N e-postcard. You notice I didn't put the Form 990PF private foundation because we're really not going to get into the private foundations in this class. They're a little bit different from just the standard nonprofit organization, which I call the standard nonprofit organization that provides direct services. A private foundation normally does not provide direct services to organizations. Private foundations normally provide revenues for other organizations to perform the services, which is why we're not going to really focus on the private foundations in this class. We're going to just focus on Form 990, Form 990EZ, and Form 990N, which is also known as the e-postcard. So if you hear someone says, do you submit the e-postcard, or do you submit the EZ or the 990? They're talking about, they're asking what type of 990 you submit for your organization. So what type should you submit? Let's learn more. The Form 990 types. We're going to talk about the types, the gross receipts of each type, and the assets. So now we're going to learn how do you know, or we're going to answer the question rather, how do you know which 990 is the best type or the appropriate type for your nonprofit organization? We're going to learn how to determine that right now. So the Form 990, if your gross receipts are $200,000 or more and your organization has $500,000 or more in assets such as equipment, vehicles, facilities, supplies, all of those are considered assets. So if your 990, if your organization rather has $200,000 or more in annual gross receipts, and your organization possesses at least $500,000 or more in assets, then you would submit the Form 990 information return. That's the information return that your organization will be required to submit. Okay, let's go to the next one, the Form 990EZ. If your gross receipts are between $50,000 and $199,999, I'm sorry, $199,999. If your gross receipts are between those in that range, and your annual assets are less than $500,000, then your organization will submit the Form 990EZ. So you will go on irs.gov and you will search for the Form 990EZ information return, and you would download it along with the instructions, and you will complete that form and you will send it into the IRS. Same thing for the Form 990. If you fall within these guidelines, you will go to irs.gov, put in a search menu, Form 990 information return, download the Form 990 information return, and complete it using the instructions provided. The next category or the next type is the Form 990N, and also called the what? The e-postcard. The Form 990N is also known as the e-postcard. So if your gross receipts are between $0 and $49,999, and I mean zero, literally zero, even if your organization did not generate one penny, zero, you still have to file the Form 990N. And so many people lose their 501c3 status because they feel like, well, we didn't do anything this year. We didn't earn any money. We didn't get any donations. We didn't write any grants. We didn't have any fundraisers. So we had zero. So why would we file? You file because it's required. The IRS requires that you let them know you had zero revenues. And if you don't do that for 3 consecutive years, then your 501c3 status will be revoked. I have not offered any programs underneath my nonprofit umbrella, Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions, since December 31st, 2013. We don't offer programs under it anymore. Nevertheless, every year I file a Form 990N e-postcard with zero revenues. Why? Because I don't want to lose my status. I never know when I may want to offer programs again. And I don't want to lose my status and have to go through the whole process all over again to reinstate my status. So I just file every year. It's so simple. It takes about 15 minutes. This one could be done online. The other two, the Form 990 and the Form 990EZ, they must be done, believe it or not, you still have to submit it on paper. You still have to actually type it up and on the forms and submit it that way. But with the Form 990N or e-postcard, it's an online process, takes no more than 15 minutes. 15 minutes of your time to retain your status. Let's talk about assets. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because it's going to be less than the Form 990EZ anyway. So if it's less than that, it doesn't matter. So please take a look at these 990 types. Understand the levels of gross receipts and assets that determine what type of nonprofit, what type of Form 990 you should submit for your nonprofit organization. Is it crucial? So when is the due date? When do they due? This is another important topic to remember. When are your Form 990 information returns due to the IRS? The IRS Form 990 information returns are due by the 15th day of the 5th month after the fiscal year ends. For example, if your fiscal year ends on December the 31st, then the Form 990 information return is due by May 15th. Now, we use fiscal year. You know there's a calendar year. The typical calendar year is January through December, January 1st through December 31st every year. That's the regular old calendar year. A lot of organizations use the calendar year as their fiscal year, which is what I did or what I do because it's easy for me to remember. But we do know that there are some organizations that have a June 30th fiscal year end. There are some organizations that have an October 31st fiscal year end. So it varies. That's why the IRS says, okay, to determine when your 990 is due to us, just remember, it's due on the 15th day of the 5th month after your fiscal year ends. You know how they know? You may say, well, how do they know? When you completed your 501c3 application, there was a question on the application that asks, what is your fiscal year end? When you put in December 31st, it's going to be my fiscal year end, that automatically set up your account with the IRS to trigger when your 990 information return is due. That's how they know. They base it on what you put in your application packet. So it's automatically set up to know to expect when to receive your Form 990 information return because you told them. In my application packet, I put my fiscal year end would be December 31st. So in my account, the IRS has a trigger to expect to receive my information return by May 15th of each year, even if I have zero revenues. This is a very important slide, so I hope that I have explained it to your satisfaction. Here is an outline that lets you keep track very easily. You can screen print this if you want or any other slides that you want. But here's a list of due dates. If your fiscal year ends on certain dates, then your 990 return is due on certain dates. So if your fiscal year ends January 31st, your 990 return is due June 15th. and so on and so forth. If you go all the way down to the bottom, if your fiscal year ends December 31st, then your 990 is due May 15th. All you have to do is say, okay, 5 months and 15 days from when my fiscal year ends is when my 990 is due every year. All right, let's move on. Here's a warning. Once again, I can't say this enough. And you know why I emphasize this so much? It's because, like I said early on, I complete the 501c3 application packet for private clients across the United States, and I'm honored to do it. I also complete the reinstatement application packet for people who have lost their 501c3 status because they didn't file their 990 information returns every year. And that makes me sad because you put in so much work to earn your 501c3 status and then you lose it. It's revoked automatically. The IRS doesn't send you any certified letters. They don't call you and say, hey, you're almost about to lose your status. They don't do any of that. You would get a letter saying your IRS status has been revoked. Past tense. Already revoked. So if you are raising money, if you have a fundraiser, if you plan to accept grant money, stop right now when you get that letter. Because if you take any money in any form after your status has been revoked, that is fraud. Because people are giving the money under the impression that you still have a valid 501c3 status when you don't if it's been revoked. Very simple. And then you're going to have to go back through the reinstatement process, meaning you're going to have to apply for 501c3 status again under a reinstatement option. And finally, this is the most painful part of all. Even when you are reinstated, that revocation date remains on your file forever. The IRS will have the revocation date will be on your file forever, and then it will have the reinstatement date right beside your revocation date. So you have the initial date in which you were approved, all the way back to whenever you were approved. Then you have the revocation date of when you lost your 501c3 status, and then you have the reinstatement date. Those dates are on your record forever. Savvy investors may look at the revocation date and say, why were you revoked? What happened? They may look at it as maybe you were negligent, or maybe you're not a good bookkeeper, or maybe you're not a good steward of money. They could think of all kinds of things. So you don't want to even get a revocation date on your records, if at all possible. So here is the warning. If you miss filing the IRS Form 990 annual information return by the due date for 3 consecutive years, your 501c3 status will be revoked automatically. I've seen it many times. And it can put a damper on your nonprofit services because you have to stop. You have to stop everything until you get your reinstatement established. Okay, let's keep going. So how do you complete the IRS 990N annual information report? In this class, I'm not going to go through the steps of completing the IRS 990. I'm not going to go through the steps of completing the IRS 990EZ. I'm only going to go through the steps of completing the IRS 990N, also known as the e-postcard. And the reason why, just to be transparent with you, I don't complete the IRS 990 or the IRS 990EZ myself. When we operated the nonprofit organization and we qualified for the 990EZ, we never qualified for the 990, the plain 990 of over $200,000 in a year. We never reached that in 1 year. But when we did qualify for the 990EZ, I never completed that form because I just didn't want to learn how to do it. I don't know any other way of explaining why I didn't do it. I just didn't want to. So what we did, we added an expense for a certified public accountant who was also certified to complete nonprofit information returns to complete those forms for us. Now, I complete the 990N e-postcard annual returns. I've done that for years for our organization, but when we were really doing well and, and, and generating revenues that exceeded the amount that would enable us to do a 990N, we vendored that out. We hired a CPA firm that focuses on the nonprofit sector, and I advise you to do that too. Just because a person has a CPA, that does not mean that they are certified to do nonprofit information returns. And that's a question you want to ask. Are you certified to do 990 information returns for the nonprofit sector? So what we're going to do in the next few um, slides, we're going to walk through the steps of completing the IRS 990N or e-postcard. And you already know the levels that you can earn as far as gross receipts and assets to qualify for this particular information return. Now we're going to complete the steps to submitting the Form 990N annual information return. Nonprofit professionals use the following steps to file the Form 990N e-postcard information return with the Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS. Step 1. Go to www.irs.gov/990N. So you want to go there first. Once you go there, you will see this page, the annual electronic filing requirements for small exempt organizations, the Form 990N e-postcard. Again, this class is only focusing on this type of 990, the 990N e-postcard. So you want to read this section that I just highlighted about filing. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to leave it on the page for you for just a few moments. And of course, by this being an online class, you can go back and look at it whenever you want, or however long you want, you can pause it. But I just want to take a few moments to read this information because it's very important. Now, two things I want to point out from what we just read. There is no paper form. So like I said, for this particular type, Form 990N e-postcard, there is no paper. It's a no more than 15-minute process. And then the next one says if you want to, you can go ahead and you can file the Form 990 or the Form 990EZ if you want to do that. But I don't see why anybody would want to file those longer forms when you qualify to file a short e-postcard like this one. And you've already seen the qualifications that dictate which type of 990 you would file. So if you qualify for this one, why not just do it? But again, it's up to you. Okay, now we just read about the filing process. On the same screen that you just read about, you will scroll down to this section. In this section, it says information you will need when filing 990N. Form 990N is easy to complete. You'll need only 8 items of basic information about your organization. So you will click on that link to show the 8 items that you would need, and so that you can have that information ready to use when completing the Form 990N. So are you ready to file? After you have read the information above, the 8 items of basic information and the user guide, then you will complete step number 2, which is click the Form 990N electronic filing system e-postcard link right here page to start the process. Now, as you can see, I'm not looking and I'm not reading every single thing on the IRS.gov page. That's up to you to read that, and I highly encourage you to read all the information that's relevant to this. Please do that. But I'm just going through the steps of completing this particular IRS Form 990 NE postcard. So let's move on to step 3. Now, once you have clicked on the link from the prior page, by the way, each page going forward builds on the prior page. So pay close attention, because as we go forward, it's just like you navigating through irs.gov yourself. So when I clicked on the link from the prior page, I came to this page. Okay, we're together? All right. So you see the sign up section. If you have not already completed this process, then you need to sign up to create an account. You have to create an account. So step 3, create account. Now once you've done this, you will have the same account for as long as you have your nonprofit organization, and for as long as you have to, or as long as you qualify to submit the 990N e-postcard. So you click that. Now we're going to go to the next slide. After you have clicked on the create account, then you get this page. Let's get started. It sounds like you have all the necessary information available and can begin. So step 4, just complete your profile information. Your first name as it appears on your most recent tax return, the last name as it appears on your most recent tax return, your email address, and then you confirm your email address. A confirmation code will be sent to your email address. You will need to get that code and enter it on the next screen. So once you've completed all of this information in the profile, you will receive an email that will have a code that you would need to enter on the next screen. So you need to have your email open. Okay? Again, this is the profile information that you will complete. Step 5, once you've completed all of the information that I just talked about, click Send Code. That's giving the IRS permission, this is step 5, to send the code to your email address. Okay, send code. Now, once you have clicked on Send Code, then you will have a confirmation code, verify your email address, and you will go to your email. And in my case, you see it went to woods.susan@yahoo.com. That's my email. And it says to set up your IRS account, verify your email address, enter the following code on the IRS registration webpage. This code is valid for 15 minutes. So your confirmation code is whatever it is. Well, in my case, it was 19476800. And then it gives you about this message. We've sent you this automated email because you requested an IRS account. For your security, the IRS will never contact you for personal or financial information in an email. Please do not reply because we're not able to respond to messages sent to this email address. So what I would do, write down the code and then go back to the page where you were setting up your account. So step 6, write down your confirmation code right here. There it is. Now I go back to the page where I'm setting up my information. It says we just sent a confirmation code to woods.susan@yahoo.com. Com. This code is valid for 15 minutes. Open your email in a new window to get your confirmation code. Important, keep this window open to avoid having to start over. And now we're back. Enter the one-time code we emailed you. Step 7, enter the code. So I had written the code down. So now I just enter the code where I'm supposed to. And that takes me to the next page. So now it says create your user profile. We've been able to confirm your identity. Now you will create a user profile. This is the last step in the process. We're still trying to get the ability to file the 990. We haven't even started with that yet. We're still trying to get set up in order to do that. So create a username and password for the IRS for this particular account. Okay? So my username was success66. I put in my password. I re-entered my password. I put in my email address. I chose a site phrase, creative phrase that you will recognize when you log in, and I put mine as a blessed woman. Okay? So all of those things checked out, as you can see. So this is step 8. When you've completed all of my user profile information, everything checked out. I'm sure you're used to setting up accounts. We have to do it all the time, and the system will let you know if everything is okay in terms of characters and symbols and what is right and what is wrong as of how you need to set up things. So we've done well on that. Have our check marks here, and this is my area that I just completed and talked about. So we've completed step 8. This is our user profile. Now, if you're like me, I have to put this someplace else because I can't remember all the usernames, passwords, and site phrases and things we have to use for every type of account we have. So I have a place that I store all of my information like this. So when I go back to it, I will be able to retrieve that information and use it. I don't ever try to remember all of these things because it's just too much nowadays to remember. So now you have to choose a site image. What type of image do you want to use that you will recognize every time you log in? And then you have to answer some challenge questions as well. So step 9, choose a site image, something that you want to see every time you log in. And then I selected, I can't even recognize what I selected now, but I selected something that'll help me recognize when I sign in again. Then you have to answer the challenge questions. Question 1, in what city were you living at age 16? And I was living in Clio, South Carolina. And then what was your high school mascot or Cavalier? So I've answered all my challenge questions. Okay. So now you continue on with some more challenge questions. In what city were you living at age 16? Oh, that's the same thing. I'm sorry. And then question 3, what was your what year was your mother born? And that was 1945. She might get me for telling you that. Question 4, what is your maternal grandfather's first name? His name was Walter. So you have 4 challenge questions to answer. And once again, if you're like me, I know we remember these things, but I just like to keep a screenshot of everything that I've typed in because I just want to make sure that I have everything handy whenever or if ever I need it again. Of course, I'm going to remember this information because it's personal, but that's just my thoughts on the process. So again, step 10, you'll continue on to answer challenge questions, and I've shown how to do that. And then step 11, just click continue to go on to the next page. We're still setting up our profile. Now, finally, we're almost there to electronically file your Form 990 e-postcard. So, e-postcard profile. Before you can create a Form 990N e-postcard, you must create your e-postcard profile. Your e-postcard profile allows you to 1, designate your e-postcard profile as either a preparer or exempt organization. Number 2, add EINs to your e-postcard profile. And 3, remove EINs from your e-postcard profile. EIN meaning employer identification number. And that's the number that's used to identify your organization. And then you can click on the more information link if you choose to, and to read more information on who must file a Form 990N. Once created, you can update your e-postcard profile at any time. Click on the button below to get started. The other option is manage Form 990N submissions. Once your e-postcard profile is created, you can use the Manage Form 990N submission page to what? Create a Form 990, view the status of your existing Form 990 submissions, edit an in-progress Form 990 in or delete an in-progress Form 990 in. Click on the button below to get started. So where do we go? What do? We do step 11, manage e-postcard profile. That's what we're doing because we're just getting started with this. Okay, so we click on Manage e-postcard profile. Now, here is the process. Remember, this is just like you're completing it online. I try to go through every step sequentially, just like you would if you were doing it, so you can follow along. So we are on the e-postcard profile page. Step 12, add your EIN. What is the EIN number for your nonprofit organization? You would enter that there and click on Add EIN. Now, in my case, when I added the EIN, it populated with my EIN and my organization name and the date that it was added. So the date added, 8/23/2016. So this is my information. So you would type in your information. And if you already have one in there, it will automatically populate your information there as well. Step 13, create a new filing. So you want to create a new filing. Every year you have to create a new filing. So I'm going to click on that. Create new filing. And then once you do that, you get this page. E-postcard profile, select EIN. Then it says, please select the EIN for which you want to file for. So, step 14. Since I'm already in there, I confirm the correct EIN and nonprofit name are displayed. So I will read mine. Yours will be, you have to do the same thing. Whatever you put in, you have to confirm that it's accurate. So, okay, I'll read that. Everything looks good. 421672537 is my EIN. That's my nonprofit organization name, Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions Incorporated. Okay, that looks good. All right. So step 15, select continue. So I click on continue to go to the next page. Now on the next page, I have to put in my organizational information. So it's saying for the tax year ending when. Remember my fiscal year ends on December 31st. So in this case, December 31st, 2016 is when I'm filing. That's the year that I'm filing for. Has your organization terminated or gone out of business? I put no. Even though remember I said we don't have any programs, I'm still not going to say it's terminated or gone out of business because I may want to offer programs in the future. So I just said no there. Are your gross receipts normally $50,000 or less? Yes, and that question is very important because if your gross receipts, and that means money from grants, money from fundraisers, money from people giving you money, money that you raised an unearned, unrelated business income, any kind of money that comes in is considered revenue or gross receipts. To file the Form 990 in e-postcard, it has to be $50,000 or less. That's one of the qualifications that we talked about before. Organization's legal name, Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions. They had to put it on 2 lines, but that's the organizational name, and then my EIN number. So, step 15, answer all questions regarding your organization, which I just did. Okay? You have to answer those questions according to your nonprofit. And then step 17, select continue so that you can go on to the next page. I hope this information is really helping because because of the way I'm explaining it, it may seem tedious, but I promise you, once you go online and do it yourself, it's going to take you 15 minutes or less because you know all the information that I'm sharing with you. So let's keep going though. Organization address and principal office information. So the organization's legal name, once again, is Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions Incorporated. Is there a DBA? Doing business as. Now, uh, if you are doing business as something else, then you would put that information there. And you can have several DBAs. And I encourage people, like, for example, remember in the beginning I told you that we had a program underneath my organization called Panorama Computer Learning and a program called Emerging Leaders Mentorship Program for Black Male Youth. I would create DBAs for both of those because in the public domain, people are not going to, 9 times out of 10, people will not even know what your organization's official nonprofit name is. They won't even know. You know why? Because they are used to relating to your organization based on the program names. For example, when we had the Emerging Leaders Mentorship Program for Black male youth, that's how people knew. They didn't know it was a program underneath a nonprofit organization. They had no clue, didn't care. So they would write checks to the Emerging Leaders Mentorship Program for Black male youth. So at the bank that we used, we had at the top of our name, we had at the very top the name of the organization, which was Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions. And underneath that, directly underneath, we had DBA, Emerging Leaders Mentorship Program for Black Male Youth. In our checking account, in all of the banking accounts we had, that's how it was structured, because that matched what we had with the IRS. So if you know that your organizational name is going to be broad or should be broad so that it can include different program names that make sense. If you know that you're going to be referring to the program name more than the organization name, then you may want to do a DBA. And this is where you want to put that information here. Okay, so what country are we operating in? The United States. And not all people operate in the United States, so you have to ask that question. Number and street address, I put my address and my city and my state. And you may say, well, Susan, are you sure you want to put your information out there like that? Guess what? It's already out there. Whenever you start a nonprofit organization, the address of the nonprofit organization is public information. Now, although you cannot use a P.O. box to get a 501c3, you have to have a physical address to get the 501c3 status. Once you get it, you can certainly create a P.O. box or get a P.O. box for your mailing address going forward. So if I had done that, I could have put that here, but I hadn't done that. So, but you don't know if that's really my address or not, do you? Unless you do the due diligence and go to Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions Incorporated and find out for yourself. If you do find my real address, send me a thank you card to let me know that you value the information that I'm sharing with you. I'm just playing about that. But anyway, let's keep going. So step 18, add a DBA name if you want to add a DBA name or if you have some. And if you have more than one, just click on the enter additional DBA names. Some people have up to 5 programs underneath their nonprofit organization. Then you complete your address that I just talked about. And then you're taken to the next page. Now, all of this looks the same, doesn't it? But it's talking about the principal officer of your organization. Who is the principal officer of your organization, also known as the executive director? Well, is it the type of name? It's a person. The person's name, Susan Woods, the country, the number and street address, and all of that good stuff, all of that information is completed that you will complete. So step 19, complete principal officer name and address. And then you click on submit filing. That's step 20, submit filing, or click the submit filing button here. Now, e-postcard confirmation warning. Do you want to save the data and submit this filing to the IRS? Once you submit the e-postcard, you will no longer be able to edit information in the e-postcard. Click on OK to submit the e-postcard to the IRS. Otherwise, click cancel. So if there's any inkling in your mind that you have done something wrong, don't click OK. Just cancel out and start all over again. But if you are sure that you have completed the information honestly and to the best of your ability, then click OK. So, step 21, click OK. Now, you're all done. You're all done. Your Form 990N e-postcard has been submitted to the IRS. The organizational name, this is like a wrap-up. The organization name is Comprehensive Community-Based Solutions Incorporated. The EIN number is 421672537. The tax year is 2016. Tax year start date 1/1/2016. Tax year end date 12/31/2016. Submission ID number. Your filing status date 11/1/2017. Filing status pending. Print a copy of this filing for your records. Once you leave this page, you will not be able to do so. And you might say, how are you going to print? Some people right click and print. Some people do a print screen or a screenshot of it. But if you want it for your records, for your personal records or for your nonprofit records, you have to do it now, or you can't go back and do it. Now, you can, of course, go online and see your filing status with the IRS at any time, once it's filed. But you have to get it here. So what I normally do is what you're looking at now. I do a right click print, or I also do a print screen and just save it as what it is. There's something on this page I want you to see that you should question me about, though. There's something on this page that you should say, I thought you said such and such. I'll give you a few moments to look at it and see if you can figure that out. Okay. The filing status date is 11/1/2017. Remember when I said that if your fiscal year end, and here it says tax year end date, I hate the way the IRS mixes up tax and all of that. They should never use the word tax in a nonprofit section of their websites because that's so confusing. We don't deal with taxes in the nonprofit sector. I wish they would have just said fiscal year end date. I wish they would have said that. But anyway, that's what it should mean. So when you look at my tax year end date or fiscal year end date, you see 12/31, right? Remember I said if it ends December 31st, it's due May 15th. So why am I just not filing 11/1? Why? Why am I just not filing for, you know why? Because I'm late. I was late filing. That's not good. Now, I was late filing, which means I got it in the fiscal year, but that's not a habit you want to get into. This should read May 15th, 2017. That's what it should read. But anyway, don't do what I did. File on time. So just take a look at this information again. It's a summary information. Summary of information. Step 22, print a copy of the filing for your records. And here we go. This is how it will look when it gets to the IRS. This is what the filing will actually look like when it gets to the IRS. So take a look at it. Electronic notice, e-postcard, Form 990N, the Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. For the tax-exempt organization not required to file a 990 or 990EZ, has the OMB number, the year, open to what? Public inspection. Like I was saying before, my address is going to show anyway. A, for the 2016 calendar year, or year beginning 2016-01-01, ending on 2016-12-31. Then you have B, gross receipts are normally $50,000 or less. C, name of the organization. D, employer identification number. E, website, I didn't have a website. F, name of principal officer. And then you have the Privacy Act and Paperwork Reduction Act notice at the bottom. All of this, and then finally at the very bottom it says this image is provided for your records only. Do not mail this page to the IRS. The IRS will not accept this filing via paper. You must use your Form 990E postcard. I'm sorry, you must file your Form 990E postcard electronically. All right. Another point here that I'd like to share is you cannot send this to the Secretary of State's office either. They don't accept 990N or e-postcards as documents to document your revenues, because you have to file with the Secretary of State's office as well every year your revenues that you generated the prior year. They do not accept the 990N as a form of record. They do accept the 990EZ and the 990, but they do not accept this. So when you're submitting your information to the Secretary of State's office and you generated $50,000 or less, then you have to complete their financial report that they have available for you to complete. And if you don't know what that is, all you have to do is call and ask for it, and they will be glad to help you with that. So here is the information, everybody. And like I said, it would have taken you 15 minutes or less to do it. So let's do a very quick review. A tax-exempt organization must file an annual information return or notice with the IRS unless an exception applies. And like I said before, unless someone has specifically told you from the IRS preferably that you have an exception, just go ahead and file it. Annual information returns include the Form 990, Form 990EZ, and the Form 990N e-postcard, and the Form 990PF private foundation. Annual information returns are due by the 5th month and 15th day after the fiscal year ends. Your 501c3 status is automatically revoked if you fail to file an annual information return for 3 consecutive years. The revocation date is never removed from your record, even when your 501c3 status is reinstated. So these are the most important points, I believe, from the entire class that you have completed today. Well, that's it. Thank Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for completing the How to File IRS Form 990 Annual Information Returns class. It's been my pleasure sharing this information with you because it's so important that we adhere to the IRS guidelines so that we won't have to experience that terrible feeling of having your IRS 501c3 status revoked, which prevents you from being able to offer the community services that you so enjoy. So I hope that this class has benefited you, has been helpful to you, and that you will share this knowledge with other people who are also in the nonprofit sector. Before I let you go completely, I do have a shameless plug about my other service. Like I said before, I do complete the 501c3 application packet for nonprofit professionals across the United States, and I would be honored if you don't have your 501c3 packet completed yet, if you will hire me to get your 501c3. I'm Susan Woods. I'm a consultant. My number is here, 704-968-2769. My website is at the bottom of the page, www.asksusanwoods.com. And here's just a little bit of information about me once again. I started a 501c3 nonprofit organization myself in 2003, so I bring to the table tangible experience. I operated 2 programs that impact the community in a positive way. I understand IRS regulations. I'm a continuous education person. I love lifelong learning, so I've earned 3 certificates. I'm very thorough and meticulous in the way that I complete application packets. A little bit more before I let you go. The service I provide, I give a free 1-hour phone consultation Monday through Thursday evenings from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. During that time, I listen to you, tell me all about your nonprofit vision. While you are telling me about it, I'm writing notes to determine whether or not your vision qualifies for 501c3 status as far as the IRS is concerned. If you agree to hire me, I send you a contractual agreement that outlines everything that I will do for your organization packet. That includes completing the Form 1023 plus the 7 attachments that go along with it. I have earned 100% approval rating from the IRS since I've been doing the application packets, and that started in 2010. I have 70 satisfied clients across the United States who have earned their 501c3 status with my assistance. I give you an application timeline that you can monitor to determine when you should be receiving different documents that are a part of the application packet. I write all your documents from scratch. I don't have any kind of cookie cutter type of system going on. Everything is customized based on your vision. I package the application packet up for you according to IRS guidelines. I print the application packet for you and I send it to you for you to then attach your $600 processing fee for the IRS and mail everything together to the IRS yourself. So you won't have to worry about whether or not I've done it for you. I do all of those things for you for $1,000. And that's the $1,000 service fee for everything that's listed here and communicating with you, of course, over the phone, over email during the whole process. The $1,000 service fee is due up front. So again, this is my plug at the end of the class. If you or anyone you know would like my services, please just schedule a free 1 hour phone consultation. If you do refer someone to me and they hire me, then you will be entitled to a $100 Visa gift card. I give 10% gratitude gifts to people who do refer other people to me. So thank you so much again. Thank you for being a part of this class and thank you for following me on my YouTube channel. Have a good day.